Okay, class, let's dive into marketing strategy a little bit more and helping the what makes it an individual signature style for different designers and brands. So the number one thing that everyone is trying to do is stand out from the crowd. There has to be differentiation. I mean, how many new things can one do, right? Well, you can, and it isn't necessarily the product that's always so new, even though designers like to think that what they have designed is new and wonderful. It may be wonderful, but I think it's more putting together what is the differentiating features of you as a designer, or what can you expect when you walk into an Eddie Bauer? What can you expect if you walk into Forever 21 or you walk into H&M? As you're looking at those, they each have a bit of a style, a differentiation. They look in finding their competitive advantage and their competitive strategies. You'll hear me say USP a lot, unique selling proposition, and that's a really important part. Always looking for what is unique about your product or you or your brand. That is the selling proposition that will drive business. And then, of course, signature style. So let's look at 4 different ones, and I'll have you take a look at these in a little more detail. But these are some very old brands and new brands. So Hermes and Burberry both being exceptionally old brands. So let's look at the House of Scarves. Hermes it didn't start necessarily this way, but Hermes scarves are absolutely revered. They're expensive, they're amazingly expensive actually, but people love them and they are known for that. And of course Hermes has gone beyond that. So this video is one that I want you to take a look at. We're not going to listen to it right now, but it talks about, as you can see, it's only a minute, but it talks about Les Maisons du Carré, and forgive my French, it was terrible, but the new home of Hermes. And so it'll give you a little feeling for what this is like. So please take a moment to go through that. So let's move on here, because this is a campaign that really helped them to find their point of view. Burberry also, Burberry's one that if you study the history of this company, it started as basically making some of the first water-resistant, if not waterproof, coats for fishermen in England, and has gone on to become an amazing brand. But when you look at this whole thing, they took this campaign and oops, sorry, that video is not available, but the campaign is, so hang on. Send a Kiss campaign. So the Send a Kiss campaign was an amazing campaign that they did that had nothing to do with anything about the product itself, but it was all about introducing Burberry's Kisses campaign, where people all over the world were sending each other a kiss. So promotion isn't always brand, it's always brand focused. It is not always product focused, especially in fashion. So looking at another one, H&M, there's a video here I want you to watch as well, and it's Garment Collecting Box. And it's this whole idea of the promotion of the mission to make fashion more sustainable. So they were putting a stake in the ground for sustainability. And then Nike, the whole Just Do It is amazing, but Nike's Better For It campaign addressed the fears that women had. I don't know if you've worked out in a gym, but I can tell you're always comparing and going, oh my God, look how strong she is. Oh boy, I feel so weird. This video brings that to the forefront, the inner fears of women. And it addresses them head on, which helps more women, I think, to feel, okay, I guess there's a lot of us who feel like I do, so I'll be better for this. Again, the whole concept with Nike is they're trying to get people just to feel comfortable with sports. So what is fashion marketing? Basically it's identifying your opportunities and, oops, sorry about the typo, in developing products and services there. Attracting customers, retaining customers, because that's the number one thing. I think if you've taken any marketing classes, you'll recognize that it's much more expensive to attract a new customer than it is to retain a customer. That's why you have so many of these campaigns that have, give me your email, we'll put you on a email list, we'll put you on a customer, where you can earn points. That's all retaining tactics. Delivering of value and price-value relationship is extremely important in fashion. And then fulfilling orders and business agreements, meaning that's kind of taking care of the business side of the deal, that if you're involved with the retailer, you got to make sure you're living up to your expectations with them. So the marketing mix, we talked about this very briefly in the first one. It's the 4 P's of marketing, and we'll talk a bit about each of those, but I'm going to add some P's afterwards that I think are pretty relevant to fashion. So let's look at product. You're looking at apparel. For apparel, the product means style, fit, sizing, quality, fashion level, like where is it in the whole couture fashion we talked about last time, to discount, as well as performance and function. Performance and function fall into play when you're doing outdoor, you're doing any kind of exercise equipment, but it also falls into play just simply by is it doing what it's supposed to do for me? The higher the fashion level, the more style fits. Style, fabric design. That's much more important than function, performance, things like that. But when you are dealing with, the day-to-day product, the kinds of things that you and I typically buy, we are looking for products that make us feel good about ourselves and live up to what they promote. Attributes and benefits are something that we always look at. Attributes are those features, functions, and uses. So here's an ad from Eddie Bauer that clearly is just trying to tell everybody, yeah, it looks good, but this thing performs. So here's the attributes, the benefits, how those features will benefit you as a customer. In case of this, it's going to keep you warm. You're going to stay dry. You are not going to freeze your buns off because you're wearing this windproof, slim profile, dynamic new jacket. An Eddie Bauer ad shows those attributes all in one. Now, this is an easy thing to do when you are really trying to focus in on a specific attribute or in this case, attribute and benefit. It's a lot harder when the design is more esoteric. So look at the core attributes of these. So here we have a very practical man's suit, but it's slim fit, it's a hip guy. And then these beautiful red shoes, which certainly do not fall in the practical category. But when you would look at what would those core attributes be? Those red shoes are dynamic, they're beautiful, they'll stand out, they'll make you look cool, they are interesting. So those are the kinds of things that you'd be looking for. They're a perfect party shoe. That type of thing. For a man with the other, it's going to be a nice slim fit, looks like a great lightweight summer fabric, can wear it without a tie and still look great. The color is unique and hip, very fashion forward. So you're looking at those kinds of attributes for everything you have to sell or promote. So total product concept, you're looking at core. The core benefit that's out there, that's a generic benefit. I am going to make you look good, could be your core benefit. But the actual product itself then goes into where you have to look at the color, the quality, the fashion, the branding, and the style. All of those things get into the actual product attributes that help to build that benefit in the core. Outside of that, when you're not even looking at the product so much, you're looking at more the services related to it. It's the warranties, the returns, the delivery. Did it arrive on time? How am I taking care of you if you want to take it back? In some cases, there would be financing involved, that type of thing. But these are the 3 levels. That's more in cars and stuff like that. You don't finance your clothes. But these are still augmented product attributes that help to build all inward towards a core benefit. So price. So research is essential in determining your price. I mean, you're going to know as a designer where those prices are going to fall, but you also have to fully appreciate who your customer is in terms of their ability to pay, as well as the competition and the perceived value of your brand versus the competition. So, value is in the eyes of the consumer. It truly is. And because somebody, if you compare 10 designers, probably all of those offerings are beautiful and offer something. But one might be just a young designer who's trying to get, make a name for herself or himself, has very little perceived value yet because they are just brand new, as opposed to a long-standing designer who's been around, where you know for a fact that they have a history with you, and that value is going to be stronger. But these all lead to helping what will the customer pay? What do they perceive as a good price? It's not necessarily what we perceive as a good price. It's what they perceive as a good price and what the customer sees as a good value. So those are all really critical things in the decision-making process. So price architecture, I think we showed this on the last one too, and you can see the types of designers that are in various levels here. These are haute couture, the runway. It was so funny. You've probably all seen a Victoria's Secret runway show, but that was when it first came out, 20, 30 years ago. It was breakthrough that there would be a lingerie show. So anyway, excuse me, ready to wear, Calvin Klein, Stella, those are all the type, and they're going to fit into a broader category. And then high street. Now, Victoria's Secret, I challenge this one a bit because they truly are not that expensive in terms of runway. I would probably put them down a little bit, but, this is from the book and how they talk about it. So, place. This relates to the distribution and sales channels. So, we've got direct sale. There are so many people who are selling direct today. And in a way, that's a really positive way to break through into a retail market if you choose to do that. If you can demonstrate sales off your own direct channel, you can go to a retailer and share those sales, share those customers, share those reactions, and help to get the kind of more extensive brick and mortar retailing or online retailing you want from another company. Now, not all brands want to do that. Some brands are very, very concerned about letting their brand fall into the hands of a retailer because they will display it the way they want to. Certain brands are large enough and credible enough that they can do the store in store, so going into brick and mortar, they will control that. But anyway, if that's your strategy. And then there's catalogs. There's still not very many of those, but they are still out there. There are some catalogs, some companies that will produce a physical catalog. Many of them will do a digital catalog. Trunk shows online trunk shows are still very important. Trunk shows are when the loyal customer base gets an opportunity to see the new collection prior to it coming out and pre-order product. Pre-orders really help designers because it gives them some funds, first off, to produce if they're struggling with that because they've got some orders, and it builds excitement for the upcoming launch. And then public events such as sports and fashion events, and those are used a lot in more athletic apparel. But those are just some of them. There's still, you can go Facebook Direct now, Instagram Sales Direct. There are so many direct sales channels, or at least different sales channels that will augment your selling place. Place also includes here, which is B2B. This is one of the many trade shows that you're going business to business. If you're trying to reach retailers, you're trying to reach media sometimes too, because media they come to all of these shows, and they're looking for the fresh new designer. They're looking for the hot new item that's out there. And so these kinds of trade shows are the opportunity for designers and brands in general to pitch their products and show their seasonal collections to major retailers. Sometimes small retailers come to these. They certainly do, small boutiques. But you'll find the Neiman Marcus, Saks, Bloomingdale's, Macy's, all of those, Nordstrom, they'll all be going to these. So this is where you hit the major buyers. Fashion showrooms are also really critical. They're in New York almost always, and there is a whole slew of them in LA. So there's a beautiful downtown LA fashion area, and then also here in New York. This happens to be a showroom that I actually visited and spent some time with. But these showrooms are set up by reps, essentially. They run the showroom, and they will sometimes do separate events for particular brands if they're strong enough. or they will have multiple brands within a showroom, which is more common, especially in LA. I saw a lot of them when I was down there visiting one time, where the brands were, they would have multiple brands, up to 15, 20 brands within a showroom. What these reps do is they bring in the buyers. They bring in a lot of the smaller retailers or the better retailers, the boutiques that you want to get into. And they occasionally will bring the bigger buyer in too, because the trade show gives the bigger buyers from the major department stores a look at your product, but sitting down and writing an order usually happens at the showroom. Okay, so now promotion. The, the promotional side of this is where fashion marketing gets very exciting. It's everything from ads, online ads, the major publications. The only thing keeping fashion magazines alive are the brands that feel they have to still advertise in the print magazines. And those magazines are gold. The Vogue September issue, I don't know if you've seen the September issue, that particular video that was made about Vogue and the making of a September issue. It was, it's pretty fascinating. But that is the time frame when the major, what's already been selected, Vogue's been to the fashion shows, they've been to the showrooms, they've seen all the different designs, they've created the looks, and they then introduce their vision of fashion for fall in their magazines. So it's absolutely critical. So there's other PR, catwalk shows, showroom media. The showrooms are very often used for media. I've used them when we've used to set up showrooms for Pendleton, and we would have media coming every hour and walking them through. And the media that come to showrooms tend to be, they're called market editors. And those editors are out shopping the market to, first, when they first come out, they just look to see what's out there and start looking for trends. And they look for the things that their editors are saying they had seen. So start finding people who have that product. But if you ever saw the show, I'm forgetting the name of the movie right now, which Devil Wears Prada. If you saw that show, the young woman running around from showroom to showroom or calling around to call in product is a market editor. She was the assistant, but that would be the job of a market editor. Promotions in view, especially when it comes to cologne, perfume, celebrity endorsements are big. Catching celebrities wearing things on the street. That's one thing that's really big, especially for the bloggers and so forth. Digital and social media programs, engagements are absolutely critical. We'll talk about a lot of those as we get further into each one of these categories. And then influencers and bloggers are so important in fashion. You may even follow some right now. So here's where I'm adding another one, physical evidence. Excuse my cough. Consumer demands more from fashion. So when you go in to purchase something, you want to see the pretty packaging, you're going to be looking at brochures, lookbooks, carrier bags. How do they look in the store? What's the ambience? What's the music? All of these things, which are really fall kind of into the merchandising side of fashion, are critical. When you purchase a Tiffany product and it comes in a beautiful box, you feel amazed. I just purchased something from Swarovski Crystals, and it goes in a beautiful box in a bag with a little handle, and I walk around and I feel so that all of that stuff adds to the value of the product and the overall benefit that I felt for purchasing it. Fashion experience is more about the ambience and attitude. When you walk into a store, you know right away if that store is for you or not. You can feel it. Nordstrom, and I'm not sure where this has been going lately, but Nordstrom introduced a new store without clothing. But it was for it has nothing but personal shoppers. People would come in and have wine and facials and their treatments and all these things and then talk to their personal shoppers, and the shoppers would then call in product, and it was very hands-on. Today, the physical evidence of stores also can have holistic mirrors. So you go to a mirror and you see a hologram, or you see some kind of augmented reality. So you'll have all of those things within stores. I know when I was in Soho, I saw one store that had, I could stand in front of it and start putting clothes on me. It was quite amazing. And then process is also one, because this is one I think should be in all of them, but people don't talk about it as much. But the customer experience of the brand and service, it's getting through the whole process of purchasing it, learning about it, ordering it, paying for it, delivery of it, all of that is so critical in the buying process. And then people. When you walk into a store and people treat you badly, you're going to turn around and leave, or it's going to leave you in some sort of bad feeling. But you also have a whole series of people behind the brand that you can highlight that are important, that are absolutely critical to your business. Obviously the employees, other stakeholders, collaborators. So if you're collaborating with another brand, your producers and suppliers are critical. They can also, the reason they can also be so critical right now too, is they can make or break a brand when it comes to, are they ethical? Are they using child labor? What kind of supplier are you using to weave or to sew your clothing? They all make up part of that experience on delivering service and value. So this is in, I don't know why I'm coughing so much. This is in the book. So product, place, price, promotion, physical evidence, process, and people. They show you a little bit about what's in each of those. So I think it's really important to take a look at that part of the book and get comfortable with all of it. But it helps, I think, to see how each of these elements make up a brand. So there's one other model that I threw in here just to get you a look at it, because it's a different way of looking at what we just went through. And it was created specifically for the fashion industry. And it shifts those 4 Ps or 7 Ps when I did it to the customer focus of customer needs and wants, cost to the customer, convenience, and communication. So when you look at Smart Insights here, what it does is put them into categories so you can see the customer needs and wants corresponds with the product in the mix. Cost to satisfy them corresponds with price. Convenience to buy and place, and communication and promotion. So it's a different sort of simplified way, and please read through this to get your feeling of it. But I actually find this to be kind of a simplified way of looking at the 4 Ps. Okay? So thank you for this. I'll talk to you next week.